Welcome, everyone, to the 51st weekly episode of Marked Out Radio. I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And we are fresh off of Fanatics Fest New York City. But first, some con news. So we're actually recording this a little later than normal. It's Monday night. We usually record on like Friday or Saturday, but Fanatics was a killer and actually paid off because there's a crazy bit of con news that broke today via TMZ. Apparently, there was a con in Washington State this past weekend, the Washington Summer Con, which actually had a pretty good lineup. I checked it out when I was looking for info on this story. But apparently, the news coming out of that con is that Martin Kove of Karate Kid / Cobra Kai fame apparently was removed from the con for biting another guest, Alicia Hannah Kim. Did you see this?
I did. I mean, I guess he definitely showed no mercy.
This is funny. It's not unprecedented for a guest to be removed from a con. I mean, there was the incident at Monster Mania a few years back with Gary Busey, right? Where a guest at a con acts abusively. In that case, Gary Busey was acting abusively towards women at the show. In this case, I mean, civilians, not other guests. In this case, she was another guest, another, I guess, one of his castmates. I imagine something's going to come out of this, that he was drinking or some other. There has to be an explanation for this.
I mean, I don't ever want to make any sort of like justification. You could sort of in your head understand a lunatic or sicko like Gary Busey being perverted towards someone. But like, you have a co-star tapping him on the shoulder. He grabbed the arm and bit her, and it nearly drew blood. I'm reading right now from the Variety article. And that when she cried out in pain, he allegedly started kissing her arm where he had bitten her. Like, that's just like, that's not something someone drunk does. That's not something someone with Alzheimer's does. That's just super, super bizarre. Like, I couldn't understand. It's not funny. Like, it's just weird. If you were threatened, is that what he would do to like an intruder in the middle of the night? Like, he'd bite their arm. Like, it's
part of it.
weird.
I mean, part of this though, the journal. I mean, obviously it's a ridiculous story, but the journalism around it is a little bit sensationalistic. I mean, how do you almost draw blood? You either draw blood or you don't. You know, there's no almost to that. So that right away I see that and I go, oh, here we go. But then, I mean, the only thing I could surmise was that he intended to do it as a joke, but it was just a bad idea and a stupid decision. And I mean, then he got the boot and it became a whole, I don't know. It's one of those things that you have to question someone's sanity who does something like that. But from all accounts, because he has a pretty good reputation for being a pretty nice guy at these shows. So I don't know, but either way, he got the boot from Washington Summer Con, which, you know, apropos of nothing related to this story, but had a really great lineup. So yes, I don't know what day on the show that happened, but it was this weekend, and he got the boot. So I'm not sure if this impacts his ability to get booked at other cons. I guess we will see, because Martin Kove is around all over the place. He definitely he does the whole circuit all over the country. So I guess we'll see if he gets pulled elsewhere.
I think it's much better that he bit a fellow guest and not an actual like attendee. I think that makes it a little easier
to whitewash it after the fact.
Yeah, he can apologize, you know, whatever, misunderstanding, poor judgment, whatever. It's not like he actually bit like a fan. Like Busey was like groping fans. So
the whole thing cooked. Is bizarre. Yeah. Also, another interesting bit of news. So people are starting to get their returns from the private signings run through SWAU for Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul. The Bryan Cranstons started coming back a few weeks ago. The Aaron Pauls started coming back this week and last week a little bit. And so there's a really interesting post on one of the Funko groups, because I guess you pay extra money to have them write a quote of your choosing. And of course, if you read the terms and conditions or the fine print or whatever, it always says like, you know, the actor has the right to just not write the quote or write something different or whatever. And I guess Aaron Paul, the quote that he was asked to write was Heil Hitler bitch, which is a line from the show. And he just wrote yeah bitch instead or something like that. And so what's your take on this?
Well, I mean, ordinarily, if someone paid money for a quote and they requested a quote and they got a different quote instead, my basic point would be that that as the paying customer, you shouldn't just be given a different quote that you paid for. If they can't satisfy the requested quote, you should be refunded. But in this case, I mean, you can't really think he's going to write that. So I kind of feel like if you are going to take a gamble like that, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, I say get whatever quote you get and live with it. Because, I mean, come on, in 2025, and I get it, you're the king of quotes. I know you'll get some with some saucy language. I've tried to get, you'll look for the most interesting and fun quotes sometimes. So I get the logic. But, I mean, if you're in 2025 expecting a Hitler referenced quote to be inscribed on a piece, it's not happening. So I think it was honestly just a poor decision on their part. And if they're stuck paying for a quote they didn't want, I kind of feel like, well, too bad. How about you?
I don't agree. I think it honestly is incumbent on SWAU. First of all, that number one, if they were really concerned about it, it should have never made it into Aaron Paul's hands. Right? They should have taken.
I agree with that.
They should have taken care of that in the prepping stage, so that it never really made it into his hands with that. If they had a problem with the quote, right? But here's my thing. I feel like if you say a line, like you paid to say it, and it wasn't like Jesse was like expressing some kind of Nazi solidarity with. It was an ironic line, right? It's meant for a sort of dark, twisted, ironic humor. That's what the line is. And it's funny actually because I did have I've had people write very profane quotes with no problem on items. In fact, I had someone do a Nazi reference actually. A-Train from The Boys. He made a comment about killing that effing Nazi bitch, whatever her name was, Stormfront on The Boys. And so I'm gonna kill. I had him right. I'm gonna kill that effing Nazi bitch on my thing, and he cracked up and just did it. Now this is a little bit different. It's not Heil Hitler, right? It's a little bit different, but I also I had Anthony Starr, I'll laser every effing one of you, and various other F word kind of things. And I had for other movies, I mean, I had if you're a fan of the movie Welcome to the Dollhouse, have you ever seen Welcome to the Dollhouse?
I've never even heard of Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Wow. So this is, I mean, I can't get into it, but anyway, the main actress, Heather Matarazzo, right? So there's some really salty language. It's really ironically funny in this movie, but that she uses like the F slur and things like that in a very funny way. And so I had her use this. I had her write out a very, very profane, insulting, offensive line that I'm not going to repeat because I'll have to bleep it anyway. And she did it with a laugh, and she thought it was hilarious, and I was thrilled. I mean, that's the movie, though. The movie is profane and obscene, and frankly, so a lot of, I don't know. I feel like if especially in the spirit of something like Breaking Bad, where it is this kind of like, so much of it is this dark comedy, right? You have to sort of get into the spirit of that. I do understand the optics of writing Heil Hitler on an item. It's not good. And I understand why he would refuse to sign it. At the same time, it's like it wasn't Heil Hitler. It was Heil Hitler bitch, which therefore you get the humor of it, right? But like also the fact that at the end of the day, this is SWAU's fault. It just is. They allowed it to get to the table, and they should not have charged them for it. They shouldn't. Yeah. And if something came through us, and just think about it, you put it in front of a talent, and the talent refused to do that inscription, I would just say sign it with no inscription, and we won't do the charge. Right? That's immediately what I would do if I were in that situation. So it speaks to SWAU's poor quality control. That's it. Which I mean, we've spoken before, but it is kind of funny that there is always that humor where someone takes they're paid a salary to say a line on a show, but then when they actually have to own that line in a different context, they won't do it. I don't know. I think it's amusing. I if you read this is why I like hate the internet on some level, because if you read the comments to that post, a lot of people were like basically ripping the guy for even trying to get the quote in the first place and implying that the guy was, sympathetic to Nazi sentiments. And that's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know the guy, to be honest, but he very well may be. But I mean, I don't know him. But the point is, it's very clearly he was trying to get a provocative line that is, again, darkly humorous. He wasn't trying to express some anti-Semitic hate. That's clearly not the point of that. And it is so many people had to get their like sucker punch points in on this guy by mocking him publicly for trying. I don't know. I like the idea of getting interesting, unique, and quite frankly profane quotes. And I have my fair share of profane. I know if I posted my Welcome to the Dollhouse poster with that quote, people would have a problem with it. And I would tell them to go to hell, because I loved it. The actress loved it. And we had a good time with it. So I do think this is a more nuanced thing. I also think it's the kind of in person you could kind of joke about and talk about it differently than in a private signing context. Yeah. But I hate the people who are just like, oh, what do you expect? The whole idea was they were trying to say that this guy was somehow like hateful by asking for the quote, which is just, you could make the argument that it was a dumb thing to do, but I don't think that's a hard argument to make, but I do think it's unfair to say that it's a hateful thing. That's not a fair thing to do to someone.
I don't see evidence that he's hateful. I'm not saying he's not. I just don't see evidence that he is. And not to keep beating the dead horse, but for me personally, I watched and loved Breaking Bad one time through. I am due for a rewatch. But if I was just looking on eBay or whatever through autographs and I would have seen this piece inscribed with that quote, I didn't even remember that was a quote until I read it. That left my mind, years ago. So for me, I would have been scratching my head slightly thinking, why did he write this? And it wouldn't shock me if the wrong, low intellect would spin that into some whole thing about, Aaron Paul supports Nazis. So yeah, like you said, I understand why he wouldn't want to do it, but I don't agree with the bashing of the guy for being hateful. I think if anything, he just took a big swing, and I think SWAU did drop the ball. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, I mean, again, I Googled the script. And I'm looking at it in context. It's very clearly it's a ridiculous non sequitur of a line that's not even intended to be. In fact, I'm looking at, apparently Jesse said this in multiple episodes.
I guess my memory's just bad.
At least 2 episodes. It's a total non sequitur throwaway line. And I understand. I really do understand the logic of trying to get a profane quote, because I've done it. I've done it. Not that one.
And I guess this would be different than trying to get Ethan Suplee or Ed Norton to do something from American History X, which would be
it's completely different.
Yeah,
it's completely different.
Same words, different context. It's definitely a different story.
There's no endorsement of Nazism with this. It's Jesse Pinkman, right? Jesse's an idiot. He's the whole whatever. I can't. People, I don't know, man. It's so obviously not serious. But anyway, that was interesting. It's making the rounds all over social media, so it's interesting. In other news, I don't even know if you consider it news, but Freddy Prinze Jr. has canceled another con appearance. This time, Nostalgia Con in Houston, Texas. That was also canceled, and the guy makes so few appearances that we'll see. Is he going to show up towards the end of the year or what?
I was on record. He will be in Rhode Island. I think he's finally going to show up. I mean,
what are you basing that on? Nostalgia Con's a big. They're a big company. It's not little money or anything.
I mean, listen. I'm basing it on a desire to gamble without any sort of monetary value attached to it. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think he's going to show up. I think eventually he has to show up somewhere. He can't cancel everything. I mean, at this point, I think he's canceling more than Katie Seagal did in her prime. He is just canceling on a whole different level. So, I mean, I will stick with it. I think he's going to show up in Rhode Island based on nothing.
All right. Well, we will see. I mean, granted, we have like 5 months, 4.5 months, so anything can happen between now and then. In other news related to Rhode Island, they added a bunch of names that I don't need. I guess Anthony Starr, I do, because the last time I saw Anthony Starr was in 2021. And I didn't get the photo op because I was an idiot. And so I'm excited to see Anthony Starr unless he cancels again. In Rhode Island, they added Laura Prepon, which is good for a lot of people because I mean she had a huge role in that '70s show and Orange is the New Black. Two properties that don't get a ton of love on the con circuit, but were just massive properties in their day. I mean, it's hard to actually overstate how massive a hit that '70s show actually was. It was a huge network hit, massive.
I mean, it gave birth. Not to get into a whole like pop culture discussion here, but it gave birth to Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher becoming household names for a time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ashton Kutcher. You think about this? All right, let's play this game. That '70s show made Ashton Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher made Twitter. Without Ashton Kutcher, there would be no Twitter, right? He was the one who popularized Twitter. For the longest time, he had the largest number of followers on Twitter. He was like the first celebrity to blow Twitter up into a real thing. So in an alternate universe, there is no Twitter without Ashton Kutcher. So
without that '70s show, where would Kanye and Donald Trump have gone crazy expressing themselves?
Yes, it's really interesting. You think of that, because that Ashton Kutcher was kind of the impetus behind really getting Twitter into the mainstream. And for the longest time, he was the highest number of followers on Twitter. So in any case, that was a weird rabbit hole, but you expressed interest in Pam Grier. I don't know why you didn't get her a chiller, but she's a cool guest.
I think that was during my self-imposed like Jersey exile, which I still don't fully understand why or how that happened. But I don't think I've ever actually seen her at a show I was in attendance at. And let's be honest, I'm not a huge Pam Grier fan, but she seems like someone I should probably have in my collection. So.
Oh yeah, I think she's great. She's she plays certain roles like so iconically, So I'll probably end up getting her too.
And Laura Prepon, I don't need, but as we said privately, she is absolutely a natural like at these shows. I think that '70s show as a reunion property at a convention is limited because right. I don't imagine Ashton and Mila are willing to do cons, even though they absolutely should. They're not above it.
And it's unavailable.
Yeah, I mean, I think Topher Grace you could probably get, and he would also be a natural. If you got Topher and Laura, I think you'd have enough right there for a solid little reunion. And obviously Danny Masterson, unless you put together some sort of a Martin Kove, Gary Busey, like just weirdos and pervert con or something. That I mean, no one's getting mad. Actually, I don't even know if Masterson is a free man. Like his charges were serious, and he was found guilty, I believe. So he's. Cooked.
I think it's still ongoing on some level.
Yes,
I could be wrong.
So he's not coming out. So I mean, there's not much you could do there. And like Orange is the New Black, you could always throw people together. I still have hope Taylor Schilling will do something, but I don't think she will.
Criminal.
And what do you think? Do you think Anthony Starr is going to actually show up here? I know you had your doubts. You don't think?
No. And Masterson in 2023 was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and so he is in prison. There you go. So I guess no con appearances for him. Interesting.
Yeah.
He was trying to do appeals and stuff, but unsuccessfully. 30 years to life. Jeez. Anyway, yeah. You sent me an interesting story, I think, that I am not sure exactly. I knew this was going on. I've seen little tidbits about it here and there, but we noticed that certain rappers are now charging people in the wild to sign for them. So you have graphers that are finding these guys, in public, on the street, etc., and are asking them for autographs, and they're charging them quite exorbitant prices. And how do you feel about all that?
Listen, if you're going to charge in the wild, please come to a convention and charge with a table and, some organization. I understand it. I think it makes sense. I mean, these guys must see people with identical vinyls, and they're selling. They want to get paid from that. Fine, whatever. They could just shut it down and do nothing. I would be willing to pay on a street if if they were somewhere in my in my vicinity that it wasn't going to be super super blown up and crazy. I'd be fine with that. I just wish they would do it at a con.
So, all right, so yeah, Ghostface Killer charging $300. Would you pay $300 for Ghostface?
Assuming he would do a photo op as well, probably.
So you'd peel off $300 in the street and go for it?
Yeah.
What about Raekwon wanted $100, I think.
Yeah, 100's a no-brainer. I mean, you got to keep in mind, how much am I paying for Ice Cube?
It's true. I mean,
yeah,
I think there's a little bit of a difference in star power between Raekwon and Ice Cube, but
I mean, I think Ghostface is the one to perhaps examine, because 300's a little high. Raekwon at $100, if he went to a convention, 50.
Without he'd be in that, yeah. No, that's true. Ghostface at 300 is very high, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, and then it begs the question: if you offered him $700 to sign 4, is he going to turn that down?
Do you think you can Virgil him down? Oh, Ghostface, I only got 150.
I mean, I'm sure it happens, and I would think he's open for business on some level. I mean, these guys aren't. Most of these rappers from that era, like their masters are owned by God knows who, and what are they really seeing on a they could use a little pocket change.
It's true. I don't know why Ghostface should be out doing shows. There's a market.
The entire Wu-Tang should be out doing shows. Everyone.
Ghostface, if you're listening, we'll pay for we'll make it happen. You just gotta be willing to do it. What show would Ghostface be good at? I think Chiller is probably the wrong show.
I think NYCC. I think
maybe one of the fan expos might be better.
Maybe, but I think you're underestimating Wu-Tang. I think Chiller's the wrong place. But I mean, I think that a lot of other shows where anything Wu-Tang Clan would do pretty damn well.
Yeah, that's true. And then so there was another interesting. A lot of these. It's funny. It's always funny when stuff related to the hobby goes viral, and then we want to talk about it. So there was there was a viral clip that went around that we ended up sparked a whole discussion about photo ops in the hobby. In the wild, and we're not going to have that discussion today, but we do want to talk about the news a little bit, because that discussion really is probably fodder for an entire episode. But there was a pretty well-known, dare I say, infamous New York City grapher. Is he a grapher, or does he really only just get photo ops?
I think he really only gets photo ops, although I don't think I've ever been on a street with him. That's how. He's new enough that when I was out there like that, he was not.
I did see him skulking around Fanatics Fest on Sunday.
So did I.
He's a very physically conspicuous person, right? He stands out in a crowd. But anyway, an infamous New York City grapher basically bum rushed Jamie Lee Curtis. He took a photo with her non-consensually, which was really a sentence I never imagined myself saying out loud. And she had a look of sort of horror and disgust. I got to be honest, he was in and out of her sphere in about a half a second. He was so fast with it. He had posted the op. And she had a sourpuss on, but whatever. He did post the op, and then someone else posted a video of him getting the op, and it spawned a lot of conversation about, I guess your right to extract a photo op from someone who doesn't want to take it, and also what value to you a photo with someone would have if that person not only didn't want to take it but actively resisted taking that photo. And I mean, of course, the thread on a different, it was I forget which Facebook group it was on, but it was on another Facebook group and it blew up, and then it was posted to Marked Out and it also blew up. And it's funny. There's a lot of to me, the most interesting piece of it, I think, and again, we can spend a full hour talking about this, and we're not going to, but I think events like this are mirrors for people in the hobby. And you and I talked about this a little bit in the car. the guy involved in the Jamie Lee Curtis story is a little bit of an extreme case, and there are people in the hobby who are very they don't really fit into what you'd call traditional social circles, and this guy, he kind of stands out. He looks a little bit funny, and so it's very easy for people to condemn him who more or less engage in what most of mainstream society would consider to be deeply antisocial behavior. And so I think what this guy does for those people is he makes them uncomfortable. He holds a mirror up to them and he makes them confront the sort of awfulness of what they do, and that's why that he's an easy punching bag for them.
Yeah, I will save my full view on this for when we do an episode about this, because I think it's honestly a very big and interesting topic. But I largely agree with your sentiments. I think honestly, I mean, it's insane, irrational behavior. It's not normal. If you try to explain any of this to a neutral third party that doesn't understand this hobby, you'd be viewed with just, they would stare at you like you had four heads. So none of this is normal. I have done bum rushes in my time. I was bum rushing when Cameron was bum rushing the lunch line in middle school. And that's how long I've been doing things like that. Did I do them often? Did I do them exactly like him? A couple of times. A lot of my, it was like different degrees of consent, which we'll get into on the actual topic. But yeah, it just all like, you have these people that are like, oh, have some decency. We just stalk them at the airport and invade their privacy on a scale of 4 out of 10. You go up to an 8. That's awful. It's like, well, I'm sure Danny Masterson's sitting in prison right now, judging some other criminal. Like, oh, I would never do that. Serial killers, I would never eat the person. I just, bury them in my mother's vegetable garden. Like, you're, splitting hairs on the same insane animal. Like,
it's definitely different degrees of the same thing.
Yeah,
right? I think
it's all kind of crazy. So, I mean, I personally judge nothing when you're out in the wild, as long as you're not hurting anyone. Do what you got to do, whatever works, and but we'll get into that as a full episode. I can go easily.
On that Facebook thread, Greg posted that Greg 2600. He posted that other photo of a different person bum rushing Jamie Lee Curtis. And I'm going to be honest. If you haven't seen it, check out the thread on Facebook. I laughed so hard when I saw this picture. Even thinking about it now, Jamie Lee Curtis has this horrified expression on her face, like she was trying to escape from the guy. It's the worst photo op ever. This is the other guy that got posted. So,
and that's actually the guy. We're going to talk about something he did allegedly at Fanatics Fest.
Well, I believe those two are buddies, right?
I think so. That's the same guy. Yeah.
So
we'll get into that in a bit.
Yes. And finally, something. It's funny because this podcast has been steadily growing in reach and in viewership, and it always it's cool, but it also kind of freaks me out when we're in public and someone says something about it. They've listened to it, they've heard about it. It's happened now more than once. But so there's an interesting thing that happened where you sent me the thread. It got really funny. A listener, a cool guy, really nice guy, but a listener, he took a screenshot of our episode I guess synopsis, where we're in the I try and write little snappy bullet points for the synopsis. These bullet points are designed.
They are very snappy.
They're trying to be a little bit sensationalistic. They're a little bit tongue in cheek. They're a little bit cutesy. They're not 100% serious. That's kind of the vibe that I was going for with them. And I guess for episode 49, one of my bullet points was the lineup for Steel City Con continues to disappoint. And the funny part, for me, because as I was trying, as we said on that episode, I will be disappointed if they don't book a Jurassic Park reunion. That was like my cheeky sort of cutesy way of wanting a Jurassic Park reunion. I want Sam Neill and Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum and Wayne Knight. That's what I want at the show. And so anything other than that is going to be disappointing to me. And it was meant to be humorous. We are going to Steel City. I mean, as soon as Amy Smart was booked, I decided to go to Steel City. So we're going. But what happened was a listener took a screenshot of that and posted it on the Steel City fan forum, where they, where people are diehard Steel City loyalists, and he used it kind of as evidence that this lineup for Steel City was disappointing. And, it got a lot of blowback, and a lot of blowback came out on us as if, because, again, we did it in a cheeky way, and also we didn't post it. But people didn't really know that, and so we kind of got bashed a little bit. And it was, what was your thought as this was going on in real time?
I mean, we absolutely caught some strays. I was trying to just explain to people. I'm sure I missed half the comments, but I scrolled when it was first starting, and the people that were like, they just want attention. I made it very clear, at least I hope I did, how we did not post this. And I have no, I hope everyone share our show out. Absolutely. Thank you. I am not mad in the slightest, but it's different if a listener shares something out, and we ourselves, if I would have taken that show, went to the Steel City group and be like, hey, Steel City loyalists, the upcoming show you're all excited about blows. Listen to our podcast and hear why. And if I would have gotten, kicked right in the right in the gonads for posting that, by all means. But we didn't post this. So it's different. I think a number of the fans understood that we didn't actually post this, but it was funny to see us be dragged through the mud a little bit for and then it opens up that whole thing about why are people so attached and loyal to anything like this, that you're willing to go fight. Even if we did go on there and say, listen, this show sucks, who cares? You're going, you're happy. It shouldn't matter, but it does. For a lot of these
my God, it speaks to them. Remember that whole thing with with that con artist fraudster, future prisoner Richie, right? Where this idea that people ought to be loyal and to certain businesses or whatever, and I'm not loyal to any convention. I would stop going to a con in a second if they didn't produce a show that I wanted to attend. And likewise, if I would go to a con that I had never gone to in a second, in a heartbeat, if they produced something interesting. There's not loyalty.
Here's the deal, though. If you mention Richie, if you think about Monster Mania and the Hagans or any of these vendors or cons, Richie, if you like Richie, and you want to buy from Richie, maybe I don't have loyalty to someone either, but I can understand it. You see the Hagans, you see the grandchildren and the generations of Hagans. You feel like you're supporting this family business. Does anyone do you know who runs Steel City Con by name? That guy? Exactly. You have loyalty to what? I don't get it. But that's, I guess, us as a business. If someone out there was going to just say, I love everything Marked Out does and send us money on a weekly basis, I mean, I certainly wouldn't talk them out of it. I would find it strange. I really would. I don't understand.
I
would
any
take
of that.
the money. I would take it, but it would be a little weird.
A lot, sure.
Yeah,
but it doesn't make any sense. And so there people were very reflexively angry about this. And talking this is a great lineup because it has whatever. And look, I'm not even trying to assess that. It was a joke. Because they didn't book who I wanted them to book. It will. Maybe I'll continue. The Steel City lineup continues to disappoint me. Because I want a Jurassic Park reunion. That's all there is to it. It continues to disappoint me. They can book whoever. They can book. I'm trying to think. They could book freaking Chris Hemsworth tomorrow, and I would still say it's disappointing. It has nothing to do with the objective quality of the thing. It has to do with what I, praying to the combo gods about.
Well, listen, I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to be disappointed if the Jurassic Park reunion does not involve a Brontosaurus.
So then you're pretty much locked in for being disappointed. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's just people are so stupid. People complaining about it. What's amazing is though, we did get some extra listeners from that. So dude who posted the synopsis, if you're gonna post don't take a screenshot. Share the post so people will click over and actually click the links. So that's a pro tip.
Anyone that's new and listening, just understand that we need more Jurassic Park people and preferably some dinosaurs, just to make us fully satisfied.
So we ran a photo with Friday again this week. You posted your Tom Hanks photo. I posted my Bryan Danielson photo where he was choking me with the necktie during that brief time when he got quote unquote fired for that. Other people rocking with Dan. He posted some extremely rare photo ops. He got his COVID era Full House photo with the three guys really shortly before Bob Saget died, right? He also had that NW. Where was that NWO with Hogan, Hall, and Nash? Where was that done?
It was one of the beach shops. I forget. It was either, I don't know if it was Clearwater or Orlando. I think it was Clearwater. But yeah,
insane picture.
In hindsight, I don't know, and I don't remember why neither one of us thought about flying down for that. I guess we thought it would get done.
Because we all thought that they were going to do group ops up here at some point.
I guess Scott sort of got past the part of life where you really thought he was ever going to be responsible for like his actions, that he was just going to live eternally, basically. Just like like if Jake the Snake died right now, which if the Sabu thing is any indication, he will probably die before this episode drops now, just to rub it in my face. But would you really be surprised? Like, I actually would be, because these guys live through everything, and then all of a sudden, eventually they die. And I guess that's what happened. But yeah, that was the only NWO reunion. And Dan was correct. That is a Full House reunion that we would not bash.
Well, no. The only reason I'm bashing the Full House reunion is because it's missing the only part of Full House that makes any sense. Like, the house is not full with this reunion. It's missing. You can't bash them for it. Obviously, Saget's dead, and these other people are unavailable, and the Olsen twins. But when it was Saget, Stamos, and Coulier together, all right, that's a cool lineup, right?
You wouldn't even bash them for no Olsen twins. Those three you can't. Enough.
Right. But now you're running a reunion with Coulier, Stephanie, and freaking Candace Cameron, and that's it. And
Kimmy Gibbler,
and the boyfriend, for real. That's a reunion. It's not good. It's not good. No. Flame.
Part of me would like to say, unless they could get the Olsen twins to come out, that you have to just sort of shelve this whole Full House reunion business. But I guess if butts stand in line and pay money to meet them, who the hell are we to say?
I don't think they'll do well at all. I really don't.
I think they will up there. They're fresh for that territory.
But What's Her Face didn't even do well at Chiller.
I think Steel City's going to do well with them. We'll see. We will be there, Steel City listeners. So we will judge firsthand.
And then finally, I know obviously this weekend was Fanatics Fest, and we're the whole second half of the episode we devoted to talking about it. But I forgot to mention, the other photo with Friday that was interesting was Lou posted the photo with Kobe at Barnes & Noble. You were at that appearance as well?
I was there. That whole event still seems a bit surreal. The fact that Kobe under a year later died. But it was a really great event at Barnes & Noble where he had a book come out that at the time, I think after that event happened, I sold the book for I think it was $200 on eBay. And I felt like I was like, whoa, I just made after fees and everything else and transportation getting in, I cleared around a cool 100 profit. And then he died, and the book's $500 now, if not higher. And I wish I still had it, but whatever, who the hell thought I figured it was a dumb kids book. I figured there would be signed copies of a more serious memoir to come in his life, which I'm sure there would have. And I'm like, that'll be the book I'll keep. This is a quick profit. Good for me. But yeah, it was a great event, a great photo he posted. And it's one of those things that at that time, every grapher and collector and chaser I knew felt like they were all there. But like now, when people vanish and move and retire and die and whatever else, like the average chaser you see now in the Celebs With Me group, like a lot of people don't have that photo. Like it just the scarcity just increases.
It's a great shot.
And yeah, it really is. It's one of my favorites, and Lou's is awesome. So I love Photo with Friday, though. It's really cool. I look
it's a lot of fun.
to it every week.
There's a lot of pressure to kind of dig something out that's like original that no one else has, and it's gonna like speak. What we should probably do is start to come up with themes for it.
Ooh, I like that.
To make it interesting. Not like very specific themes, but kind of like general or like clever, creative themes where people can be like creative with how they interpret the theme, just to make it a little bit different. We'll figure something out. And so before we move on to the next section, you, in addition to Fanatics, you did a quick detour this weekend from a birthday party.
I did. Yeah, with wife and mother in tow, on my way to a family birthday party in the Bronx, I took a 30-minute detour north into scenic White Plains to attend a convention.
Did you forget the convention's name?
I did forget the convention's name. It's a very stupid name. Altered with the... No, it's not. I'm trying to remember. Do you remember what it was called?
Altered? No, it's not Altered Reality. It's called something else. I remember Undiscovered Realm?
Yes, Undiscovered Realm. Yeah, Undiscovered Realm. There's going to be a new policy here. I'm not going to put over any show names that are just stupid. And that's a stupid name.
I mean, you discovered the realm, so...
I guess, yes. So I discovered the realm. I parked. It was a very hot day, so I felt to be nice. I left the car running, so my wife and my mother had some air conditioning. And only at a show like this can you really get away with leaving the car running. Because, I mean, if you left your car running at Fanatics Fest, I mean, you'd have some problems by the time you made it out. But here, I mean, they never draw much of a crowd. So I found some street parking, which saved me some money. I ran inside. I had my pre-ordered ticket waiting for me. I ran down into the basement, which is where they put the tier of talent that I needed, which they had their headliner was Jim Cummings, who I love, but I mean, he's no headliner at a normal con. He was upstairs on a stage. But in the basement...
He usually draws good numbers, though.
True. He does. I guess he could be a headliner for the right show. Clearly. But I needed Mark Pellegrino from Supernatural and Lost, but for me here, mostly Supernatural. And I ended up also getting from Supernatural Samantha Smith, who I met before, but I made the executive decision that I'm aware is definitely tiptoeing on some validity parameters. I have a season 9 full-size poster that I got Jared and Mark Shepard to sign previously. And I was sort of chewing on what I should do to have a project for the entire cast. Do I get another piece and then need Jared Padalecki again? Do I just not get anyone else besides who's pictured on that poster? I was toiling about this until I just decided that since it's a poster that, TV posters don't really state season or anything like that. It's just basically knowing the graphic and knowing which season that photo shoot represents. I've decided to just put anyone as a catch-all on this poster from Supernatural, regardless of whether they appeared in the actual season that the poster was printed to sort of, signify. How do you feel about my decision?
I mean, it's completely... I like how you left your wife and mother in the car like a bunch of dogs. Like if someone have to break the window to release them for your captivity on a hot day. It's a hilarious thing just to get some B-level Supernatural names. Although to be honest, the Mark Pellegrino would definitely be a mid-level guest at a Supernatural con for creation, but I think that the property he's done so many shows, the property has kind of lost its mojo at this point. But I wouldn't get a season 9 poster signed by everyone, including those who weren't in season 9. I understand, the graphic is generic or whatever. I would still feel a little bit of stupidity, weirdness about it. But yeah, it's kind of like I believe I showed you someone who they took a WrestleMania poster to Dallas to get Mr. T to sign it, and it was covered in all these names who were not on the WrestleMania show, and it just made me like twitch because they were using that WrestleMania poster to do all the WrestleManias or whatever.
So here's the deal. Perhaps I'm just completely delusional, but I feel as though my perhaps hobby transgression is a little less incorrect than that. Because in terms of like the actual, and I don't remember exactly what was going on in season 9 as to where Lucifer was at this point, but I mean, he existed in the universe. He was Lucifer. He still is Lucifer. When this season happened, he was somewhere. Whether they thought he was dead, whether he was banished, he was somewhere. The mother, the mother was dead, and we met her in season 1. She comes back later on. Like, to me, they existed in this realm. WrestleMania 1 to have signed by Randy Orton, like, he did not exist in this realm unless he was in the crowd watching his father. But so I think that makes less sense. But it's the same point I made before about the people getting mad at people bum rushing Jamie Lee Curtis. Like, I'm probably just as irrational as the person getting Sergeant Slaughter on a WrestleMania 1 poster. And I'm trying to justify that my action's less crazy. So I'm aware of my hypocrisy.
So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Collectibles official marketplace on Facebook. Do both even. And of course, all links are always in the show notes on Facebook and Substack as well. And if you want your event, product, or brand advertised on episodes of Marked Out Radio, please reach out to us today at markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com. In addition, please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcast, or all three. And please leave us a rating and or review. You can leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcast. You can leave a rating on Spotify. You can leave a thumbs up or thumbs down or a comment on YouTube, and we do welcome all engagement. So let's talk about Fanatics Fest. We did the hype episode last week. Now let's talk what actually happened at this show. So overall, I guess we'll do kind of big picture a little bit first. What were your impressions of this show this year versus the show last year?
I felt as I'll start with my main issues last year, which I mean people that have been following along since day one should be aware of. But just to refresh, I thought last year's show was very imperfect. They were trying to sort of find their identity between being this whole pop culture like hodgepodge of gawking spectacle and a sort of serviceable hobby and collecting space, which didn't always work. It was congested. It was disorganized. It felt like the paying customers were kind of sort of thrown by the wayside to satisfy the spectacle and the fanfare and the photo ops that they wanted for social media to grow the brand more so than satisfy the family that traveled 3 hours to get the photo op. This year, at least on my personal level, I didn't have a single problem. I didn't witness a single hiccup. I felt like the average complaints that you heard, which was the space between autographs and photo ops, were largely eradicated. Could they have been closer together? Could you have streamlined it even more? Perhaps. But I mean, at that point, you're splitting hairs. Like, even the most perfect of perfect games in baseball, you could probably find some play that could have been cleaner, some strikeout that could have been more emphatic. You could always improve on something. But to me, everything was perfect. I did not have a moment where I thought I was in jeopardy of missing something. And I had $2,200 worth of some things, if people remember from last week. And I got them all without even breaking a sweat. What'd you think?
I thought it was a well laid out show. I had a good time with it. I agree with you. They largely took into consideration the shortcomings of the first show. Though it's interesting. I thought that the main floor and the autograph area seemed like two completely different shows. You know, I did think the main area, the main floor, it was kind of it was very crowded and kind of weak. I know that one of the interesting things about it is like I walked to the main show floor for a little bit, and it just there's so much of this world that I know nothing about. Like there's a lot of it was like related to box breaks and stuff and baseball or sports cards and all this thing. And I other than like what occasionally comes on my for you page on TikTok, I don't really know anything about that world. And I feel like it was a big part of this show. But as far as in our space, in the autograph and photo op space, it's hard to argue that it could have been done much better than how it was done. I mean, everything was, as opposed to last year, everything was clearly labeled. It was easy to find things. There was no doubt as to where you should go. So yeah. So I guess let's talk about the show itself. So I mean, you took off on Friday and you went. I did not go on Friday.
Yeah, I went in on Friday and I thought, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I was joined in there by Mr. Ira Nobler himself. He was in there.
And your main motivation on Friday was Kevin Costner.
Yeah. Kevin Costner, as we've discussed, I never thought he would do a convention. I really didn't. And I honestly was, until I saw that he was in the show, I was a little skeptical, even on Friday, that he was going to actually be there. But we got in, check in. Luckily, I didn't have to go at the actual time of opening. I went later in the day. So I basically just walked right in. I picked up my ticket at Will Call. I made my way around the show floor because I had a little bit of time to kill. I hit the WWE booth to start, did you ever make it up there on Sunday?
I mean, which WWE booth? The merch booth? Or just the WWE,
booth.
like
the merch booth?
The Fanatics merch booth or the WWE?
Well, the Fanatics merch booth with the WWE section in the big merch area.
Yeah, I thought the merch was very weak. I thought the merch was, I was not tempted by anything. I thought it was a very weak merch section. They were so focused on their like crossover collab brands or whatever. It was like, and all these teenage brands, I have no idea what they are, but it was just a lot of really, the prices were out of control as well. But whatever. I mean, I know I'm not the demographic for this stuff, so I didn't mind it. I poked my head around. Nothing was that interesting. But I think the WWE booth itself was cool though. Like they had a giant replica of the belt. They had all their replica belts in cases. And did you watch any of the fan entrances?
A couple.
That's kind of an amusing thing. They had like kids, pantomiming the entrances or whatever. Some of them took it really seriously, and it was funny. But yeah, that's all I did on the show floor.
Yeah, no, that was all cool. They on the merchandise level, I actually purchased a Cody Rhodes T-shirt because I thought the design was pretty cool. The price wasn't terrible. I mean, you go to a live event, it's $40. So I grabbed one of those. I guess I fell victim to the hype and the fanfare of wanting some sort of a commemorative souvenir on top of the ones I just, thousands of dollars worth of souvenirs I purchased. But I made it from there, and walking around, I moseyed on down to the autograph area. And like for me, it was like second nature because I've done so many years of Comic-Con. I do sort of wonder, though, if you are Fanatic fan number 6 that just walks in there for the first time or even the second time, and you're walking around that show floor, if you had to find where the autographs were, I don't know how easy that would have been. So for me, something that was very clear, I don't know if it really would be for the casual attendee. So that might be something they could improve upon. But
something that always strikes me about these shows is that we take for granted that people know what the hell's going on. Like I was listening to the photo op dude, do his spiel, and he would constantly say things like, "This is a separately ticketed event. You must have a separate ticket to do this photo op." And like, we take for granted that people know that, but a lot of people just don't.
No, they really don't. So, and honestly, I didn't even think of that as a potential complaint until just now when I'm speaking. But I think that could have been better. There should have been better signage all around saying this is where the autographs are. I like that they kind of split the show into two halves because you can't make all of these different things happen at the same time in the same space. It's too much. I agree with you, the sports card game. I used to be deep into sports cards around like middle school. And what I used to do as a sports card collector doesn't even resemble what they're doing now. Like with the whole online box breaks, like I would go to the store, I'd go to Target or Walmart or whatever, Kmart. I'd buy a box of cards or a hobby shop, and I'd open my cards in the privacy of my own room. Maybe I would trade with a friend, but like now it's a whole thing on, Instagram Live and whatnot. And it's big business. And I walk by and like I understand it on a, the broadest of levels, but I don't understand or partake in it now. So it doesn't really do anything for me. So I think it was kind of good that it was separated. But anyway, I made my way downstairs. I met Ira. I started out with the basketball players. Honestly, I won't even get into any of the basketball players from Friday individually because there's nothing to really say. It was all good. It was all smooth. And, not a single complaint can be said. And Ira and I, our first one that we sort of collaborated on was Kevin Costner.
So, you were super pumped for Costner. I think having Costner at a con is a huge coup for Fanatics. I mean, obviously, I think you kind of view Costner as a bigger deal than I do, but he's unquestionably, sort of Hollywood royalty. It was, what was that whole experience like?
Well, the line was kind of like a reunion of like marked out like past, the present, future, everyone. Like you had, we saw the Lucases, we saw Mike Simon, Josh, showed Jeremiah over there freaking out about different things. Everyone was there. So it felt like, old times. And, whenever big things like that happen, big names pop out, you start seeing sort of everyone, it's like a family reunion. So we're online, we're waiting. Maybe a few minutes after the photo was supposed to start, not many, Costner popped his head out. And wouldn't you know it, he's wearing sunglasses.
So for those people who are uninitiated, one of the things that really sets off certain people in the hobby is when the person who you're doing a photo op with has some kind of accoutrement or accessory that they're not known for. So this is not like, a situation where someone who's known for wearing hats in public and they're wearing a hat. We're not talking about that. We're talking about someone doing something to alter their appearance, like Kevin Costner wearing sunglasses indoors would drive certain people completely bananas if they had to deal with that.
So the line starts moving, and I think I was with at this point. I think I was with Simon and Ira, and I said to them, I said, Jeremiah is freaking out right now, and I was imitating Jeremiah freaking out because everyone sort of imitates Jeremiah and Class. Those the two voices that are the most fun to do. And as our line sort of crosses paths with Jeremiah's line, of course, Jeremiah calls out to us, and wouldn't you know it, he's freaking out about the glasses. So Jeremiah starts up. He's like, oh, not good. Very bad. He's wearing sunglasses. Oh, are you going to ask him to take them off? And I, of course, just rattle his cage and work him up. And I said, terrible, Jerry. Photos ruined. Who would even want it anymore? It's awful. And I said, no, I'm going to save that for you so you can ask him. So in we go. Kevin's he's got sunglasses on. Honestly, he was nice, but he seemed a little stiff. I didn't really feel as though he was super into the whole thing, but he was fine. So I said my hello, great to meet you. We took our photo. Out we go. We do the nice little maze to the pickup table, which anyone that's done one of these cons knows what I mean. And we got there, and we see photos printing out. We see Mike Simon print out. We see Lucas and Michelle print out, who are 15 behind us. Then we see other people print out that I didn't even see, so they were even 15 probably behind them. And I say to the people running the table, I'm like, our shot's still not out. And they're like, we lost connection for a moment. It's backed up. It's coming. So maybe 90 seconds more go by. And I'm like, this can't be right. It's too many photos now that are coming out in real time, and ours still hasn't. So they sort of pulled us aside. They got the laptop, and they said, find your photo in the gallery, and we'll print it again. And we weren't in the gallery. Our photo was gone. which, I mean, this is sort of like convention nightmare material right here. Like, I think we've all had this fear that, like, the photo that you've been waiting for, like, is just lost in the ether. But so the guy's like, okay, we lost it. We'll bring you back for a reshoot. And I said to the guy, that's all fine. That's all good as long as we didn't lose Costner as well. If Costner's still in there, who cares? So we raced back, and of course, the line, I guess, was longer than I thought, so that it was still going. We had time to spare. And we walked back in, and I look over at Ira, and I said, imagine how funny this would be if he took the glasses off. And sure enough, the glasses were off. So we got the upgrade of glassless from glasses.
Yeah, but I saw Jerry's picture. Jerry also has glassless.
Yeah, he was somehow, I guess, the line moved slow enough. There were about, I guess, 50 to 75 people that missed out, but Jerry was still behind us in line when we jumped in for the reshoot. So Jerry got lucky. Honestly, if Jerry didn't get lucky, I don't even think I might have had to mute him on the chat apps. He would have just been lamenting, and I don't even talk to Jerry on a daily basis, but he would have been lamenting to everyone. So I guess luckily for everyone, he was lucky enough to catch that. But apparently several people were asking him to take the glasses off, and he kept refusing. So I don't really know what happened. If anyone was in the room when it happened, please share on the comments of like how and why he did that. But he was finally either broken down, or maybe the photo company sort of nicely broached it, that it would make the photos take better. I don't know. But they were off, and everyone seemed pleased. But like I said, he seemed kind of stiff. He didn't seem like someone that, really took to it really quickly. So I wouldn't hold my breath that he does more.
What else did you on Friday?
Well, we made an attempt for Logan Paul, who was over on the Visa stage with Emma Roberts and Tom Brady. And let me tell you, watching there were a wide range of fans chasing Tom Brady all around the events floor. And, a number of those fans, collectors, whatever you want to call them, were children. And if you're 12 or 13 years old and you want to believe that Tom Brady might stop and sign, I mean, that's what kids are supposed to do. That's fine. I'm not going to sit here and make fun of teenagers for having stupid, unrealistic expectations, because that's what they should have. But there were adults my age and older that were running with the same intensity as the children, truly believing that Tom Brady was going to slap his John Hancock on their like cheap $40 replica jersey, or their football, or whatever they had. Like, they really thought Brady was going to work the rail.
And Brady does not work the rail.
No, he does not do that. He just doesn't do that. And that was very amusing to me. I was enjoying that greatly, just watching all the strategy that was for nothing. Like, you would have been better off waiting for Kobe to work the rail. Like, it was not happening. It was not happening. Sorry, Kobe. But that whole thing ended up screwing us, I think, on Logan Paul. Because Logan, when he finally exited the stage, we got, the crowd got his attention. Someone wanted him to sign a $1 bill, and he humorously was like, I can't. It's legal tender. That's a crime. I can't sign it. And like, I'm sure, no one's getting arrested for that, but it was funny. And people got him to come out a little closer to the rail and hit a couple things. But the rail was kind of like just anarchy, because it was still the people that were chasing Brady that I guess figured, whatever, I'll get something else. And there were like no WWE fans in the building that day. And if there was no Brady involved in that panel, I think we would have had a shot. But, que sera, that's the way it is. We tried. And humorously enough, Ira got a random shot while I was getting the basketball players of rapper Lil Baby, that he didn't even know who he was. He pulls out his phone and goes, do you know who this is? And of course I knew who it was. So that was a little irritating, because I would have actually liked that photo. But, you can't get them all.
No, you cannot. That's one very clear lesson. So what else was Friday about? I wasn't there.
Honestly, that was largely it. I mean, I'm not going to bore everyone with going through my my 10-second interactions. one of the big things, I believe Livy Dunn was Friday, and I did not get Livy Dunn. Ira tried to talk me into it on the basis of her doing something else. But something tells me anything else she would ever do would probably be more in the OnlyFans arena, and I don't care for that, so I didn't get Livy Dunn. But apparently Livy Dunn was a strict no-touch policy, which is a big difference from someone we'll get to in a few moments on Sunday that seem like almost have a pro-touching policy. There was some really close and cool poses going on. And also, this whole thing, I think largely a lot of this led to a big discussion today on the Marked Out group that, much like the consensual photo ops, will be pinned for a later episode. But the topic broached by Mike Mitchell was, how do you feel about men sort of putting their arms around women, celebrities, for photo ops? And honestly, that thread blew up this afternoon. There's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. But again, we can't get into it now. We need more time.
For sure. I think that's it's. I mean, look, because let's be honest, photo ops, they're a weird thing, and they're also a relatively recent phenomenon. I mean, historically, photo ops existed, but the demand for them has far outpaced the demand for autographs, and there are all kinds of weird etiquette rules, and I think we're still as a society kind of working out the etiquette for photo ops. So that's why we were kind of making fun, like at the Joe Jonas photo op at Looney Tunes when he clearly was like deliberately avoiding touching anyone with his hands. He has funny stuff like that where you see someone who's really trying to like navigate the etiquette of it in their head, and that's where you get some funny situations like Livy Dunn not wanting to be touched at all. And like I think that's one of those things that, look, I totally understand. I really truly do. I totally understand the aversion toward being touched by strangers, but at the same time, people make a big deal about something that's not that important, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think that there's definitely instances in this hobby where contact has become criminal, and it is a big deal. But I mean, for a lot of this, it's really not. And I think a lot of the people that make these crazy no touching policies, I mean, do we really think anyone's going to be groping Gina Davis nowadays, who's one of the more notorious ones for no touching? Like, probably not. Like, I think for some of it, it's just a completely just being disgusted by the paying public that are out in line waiting to meet you, which is a whole nother topic. And I think for some people, like a Livy Dunn, it might be, there's probably, I bet somebody, for the younger ones, that there's probably one person in every line that would, caress or brush against something that, would make them very uncomfortable. And I, as a non-woman who's being caressed and groped forcibly by people, I mean, I guess who am I to judge not wanting that to happen? So it's not really my place to comment on, but I think it's a lot of times they cause more fire by making this rule than it would actually happen if they just let it rock and, let the chips fall. But yeah, that basically wraps up my Friday. And now Sunday, you enter the fray.
Yeah. I get in there on Sunday, and, it was a little bit annoying just on a personal level because the 7 train was not properly running, or there was a route interruption. So I had to walk from Penn Station to the Javits Center. No big deal, but it was raining. It was kind of annoying. I get in relatively easily. Again, will call was nice and quick and easy. I mean, I had an interesting time. I didn't have a ton booked. I had a photo with Dominic Mysterio. I had then I had an autograph with Dominic Mysterio. Then I split a photo with John Elway with Greg 2600. And then I had photos with Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest. It just wasn't that difficult an experience. My opinion of the layout was a little bit different from yours. I understand. Look, it's infinitely better than last year. I still think the autograph layout would have been better if they rotated it by 90 degrees. I think that would have enabled people to access the area more easily. as it was, people were kind of being funneled through this vendor area to get from autographs to photo ops and vice versa. It wasn't a big deal, all told. It really wasn't, but it was a pretty smooth experience. We got there and the photo op booths were. It wasn't like last time around where nothing was set up. This time everything was set up in advance. Everything was working. It was tested. Everything seemed to be smooth, and it was really smooth. I mean, it was an easy show. I got everything exactly how I wanted. There was a bit of a humorous thing for me because I got the only autograph I got was a 16x20 Dominic Mysterio print that Dana designed, a 1-of-1. I was agonizing over the pen that I wanted to have him sign it with. So I finally I decided on the ultra premium gold, and I love me some ultra premium gold. If you've never tried their ultra premium gold or silver, they're very expensive. So we don't use, like, when we do signings with silver deco, we just use regular silver deco. We don't use the ultra premium because they're like $8, $9 a piece for these stupid markers. But I have one of each, for my own private use for certain things, and for whatever reason, the marker just failed on the item, and so he ended up Dominic ended up signing over it with a normal gold medium tip deco, which looked beautiful. So I don't know. I would love to know why my fine tip ultra premium gold deco failed when the normal gold medium tip deco worked perfectly. I don't know. In either case, all's well that ends well. It was fine. But there was a moment there I was like, you got to be kidding me, this marker failed.
I bet you were just terrified at, was that the only pen you were rolling with?
No. I had multiple others prepped for it. But okay. I was just, how the hell does that happen? And I checked the pen afterwards. The pen was prepped perfectly. I think it was just, that particular ultra premium did not like the super glossy surface. And so the ink didn't adhere to it.
That's why I always recommend the Zach Linder special of Posca on metallic. It really, I know, like, the metallic Poscas are not, it's not really a thing that one should use, but in general, it works well on the metallic finish. But all's well that ends well, like you said. My Sunday was pretty smooth, much like my Friday. But to start, upon entering, I actually went up to the main show floor, which I don't usually do. And I noticed the Around the World basketball attraction had a line that was not very deep at opening. It was probably, I don't know, maybe 15 back. And I actually hopped on that line and I waited to try my hand at some basketball.
And how'd that work out for you?
I made my first shot, then I airballed my second one right around the basket, which was I wasn't happy about. But I did hit a 3 from the elbow. It's very difficult, no matter how much you watch the people before you, to properly balance your time, to have 30 seconds to hit all the spots on the court and get off, like, actual shots that, have a shot at going in. Harder than it seems. But, I scored 5 points. Wasn't enough to beat Tom Brady in that whole sports tournament they were doing. But that was fun. I moved on down then for photo ops, and
so you're saying Tom Brady foiled your chances at a photo with Logan Paul, and he foiled your chances at winning the basketball thing.
Yeah, I'm not done with Tom Brady. Next year I'm coming for the crown. But yeah, so I moved on down. The water filters at the Javits Center, if anyone's ever used them for NYCC, they are terrible. They move at a snail's pace. You stand online literally for you're at that filter for 3 minutes, 4 minutes to fill a single bottle. This time, I don't know if it's less use or they've upgraded or what it was, but it was good. I filled a 1 liter bottle super fast. So if you have bottles to bring to NYCC, feel maybe a little more optimistic that it will work. After filling my bottle, I came over and I spotted Ira and you. But like I said to Ira, you could see Ira from 100 feet away, 100 yards away, forget feet. So I spotted you guys in a second. I joined up, and I don't even remember what we did first, but just to get through the stuff that was interesting, the opposite of Livy Dunn was Rhea Ripley, who I saw photos online. She was holding grown men. She had full-on hug poses with men. She was kissing women on the cheek. Like, I saw all sorts of different photos she was doing. When I got up to her, I think she was almost like surprised that I wasn't hugging her. I wasn't like, I'm not looking for a hug or a prom pose. I just wanted a nice pose, a nice photo with a updated current look Rhea Ripley. So,
Rhea's wild, man. She's
Yeah.
wild. She's a very, very, very unique individual. She's the best, honestly. She's really fun.
Yeah, she really gets into it. Allen Iverson, who I wasn't there that day, but he like canceled his photo ops last year, I heard. This year did not cancel his photo ops. He sold more than he sold last year, which is probably part of why he followed through on doing them. He was a bit late, but he finally showed up. He did them. He was actually pretty nice. He actually seemed a lot like cooler and like more relaxed than Costner seemed. So that was pretty good. Dom Smith had the belt, which was cool. Like, I know Seth Rollins the day before did not have the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Do you mean Dom Mysterio?
What did I say?
Dom Smith.
Oh yeah, sorry. Dom.
Who the hell is Dom Smith?
The Mets first baseman from like 8 years ago. Don't ask me how that popped into my peripheral. But yes, Dom Mysterio had the Intercontinental title. Seth Rollins did not have the Money in the Bank briefcase. So, I mean, for people that really worry about that kind of thing, that was cool. And I do pop for the belts. So I can't even act like above that. That was really cool that he had it.
I love the belt. That's great.
That was really cool. And the other thing, which I know Class 316 is going to have an aneurysm, that I'm even talking about this. But it was interesting, and I actually watched the whole company sort of pivot in front of my eyes. And for those of you out there that are not sort of up on the game, there is a game that certain people do that is called the Pro Photo Switcheroo.
I can explain it faster, I think.
Yeah.
So it allows basically people to lie at the point of entry and say they're splitting a photo, and then once they both get into the booth, they pretend like they're not splitting the photo, so they each get an individual, and then they basically hide one of the prints and avoid the checkout process, more or less.
Yes. The trade-off there is, losing some honesty because you're being dishonest. And you are also forfeiting the chance to have a JPEG. You can't have a JPEG for a photo that doesn't exist, as far as the company is concerned. That's the trade-off. There are people out there, I'm not going to snitch on anyone, but there are people out there who that's how they get their photos. That's a regular thing they do. And apparently a certain person that you mentioned before that had a very interesting photo with Jamie Lee Curtis, and no, I'm not talking about Cameron. From what I heard through the grapevine, allegedly, of course, instead of having a willing person to sort of lie for you that you're sharing this photo and then you split off in the room to get your solo shot, this guy just sort of stood behind a stranger that had no clue he was doing this, and then I guess tried to say that he was with that stranger. And I don't know if that's something that's worked in the past, but it really didn't work now. Apparently, I'm not really sure how it all went down, but he still made it into the room, and he made it to get his photo taken. And when he exited, he sort of just grabbed the print, and he didn't even try to hide it because he had no cover to hide it with because the stranger wasn't part of this. He wasn't helping him. So he kind of just grabbed his fraudulent print and ran away with it, which, if that sounds absurd, it's because it absolutely is. That's crazy behavior. And as a result, Epic Leap Photo Op Company started handing out deli tickets, the deli counter tickets. And at first, they were doing it in a way that wasn't very effective because you would still then lie to the second person that gave you the ticket, even though you checked in and said you were splitting the photo. Later in the day, they made it more effective where the person scanning and checking you in gave you the ticket. So that right there is, scammers are it's their move now to see how they're going to counter that. But that's a little tough to foil.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows there are people who are working to subvert and thwart the system at every opportunity. and it's just so interesting. Like, I remember back at like the smaller cons, a switcheroo would mean you one person takes the shot and then the other one, then they hand the camera off, and the celebrity is usually too awkward or embarrassed to say anything about it. That's like a standard switcheroo. This is like a whole other level of insane behavior that apparently led to a pretty significant amount of theft. Significant enough that Leap changed their policy and their practice, very I guess midway through Sunday. So I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, I just want to know why Leap is carrying around like coils of deli tickets. Like, I've never seen them use these before. It's like they just have these at the ready. That kind of blew my mind. But it was definitely interesting to see them adjust. And I know, us personally, we would have been pissed at people doing that with Leonard and Olivia. And, it is what it is. I'm not going to act holier than thou. We've all mooched and done things in the past. It's not like, it's just much like the Jamie Lee Curtis thing. It's just, it's crazy behavior. And, it is what it is.
It's a hobby, man. It's a hobby. In some ways, it's the worst thing ever. In other ways, it's just it's the most fun, insane group of individuals you'll ever meet. So it's just one of those things you just kind of shake your head and laugh and, watch the insanity unfold. And this is, it's great because, like, there's a lot of normies. This is what we talked about. There's a lot of normies at WrestleCon. Not WrestleCon. WrestleCon has no normies. There's a lot of normies at Fanatics Fest. People who otherwise wouldn't really go to a con. This con takes great pains to make itself appear cool in the sense that it wants to attract normal people to come. And so it's always interesting to me to see like the collision of the two worlds of the people who are into like box breaks and sports and they're just into the whole sports piece of it versus the people who are just like, collecting every photo op they possibly can using the most deranged methods as possible and like everything in between. It's funny when those worlds collide. And you don't really see it anywhere as much as you do at this show where there's just these very different populations here.
Agreed.
So again, we got to talk about some of the reports from Fanatics, right?
Actually, I forgot one quick thing. I ran into a listener of the show, Sal. It was great to meet him. Great to hear about the his thoughts on the show, what he likes about it. The only thing that was kind of humorous, I ran into him coming out of the bathroom. So, I washed my hands. I didn't give a full dry because I wasn't planning on interacting with anyone at that point. I would air dry on my way to the next target. And of course, I ran into someone and as I'm shaking his hand, I realized my hand was like damp, so I wasn't going to pull it back. So I went in for the full handshake, and then I apologized. I felt bad that my hand was damp. I think his hand was damp too. So it was like a mutual. It was like the Mega Powers handshake, just damper. But always great to run into the listeners. Thank you for the support. Always great to hear like what you like about it, and if we help you waste more of your money on conventions and signings and, push you closer to poverty right there along with us. I mean, you're welcome.
So yeah, let's get to the actual listener reports from the show. A bunch of people wrote on Facebook and posted to the group. And it's funny how they all had kind of slightly different takes. So I saw what stuck out to me. Well, I mean, I had to laugh at Ira's post where he took a photo with someone who appeared to be a stranger. He didn't know who it was, but he got the sense that it was quote unquote someone. And if this sounds bizarre to you, this is what some people in the hobby do. I don't think I've ever done that actually, where I just take a picture with someone I don't know who they are.
Listen, I still have a photo with a large man from Disney World that I thought was a basketball player. That I still haven't figured out who that was. I've sent that photo to many a family member and friend. So that's a story for another day. Back to Ira with his
But he takes a picture with this guy. He posts it on Facebook, and lo and behold, he discovers it is Moses the jeweler, who apparently is someone on social media. And it's one of those things that people identified him very quickly. I don't know who this is, but yeah, it's a very funny, like, quirky.
Maybe I should post my Disney World basketball player. I mean, Our group's got some power. If anyone's
It's
going to figure out who that guy is, I think it's the marked out marketplace.
I'm not gonna lie, it's so embarrassing. I would recommend not doing it. It's so embarrassing. It's like, oh, can't even deal with it. I don't know. But I thought it was so funny. But you know, that's the game. I mean, there are people who get blanks and index cards autographed. They have no idea who it is, and they post them to the groups and ask them, can anyone figure out who this is? All the time it happens.
I mean, I've definitely gotten some people of notoriety that way that I didn't know who the hell they were at the time. I'd have to really think and come back with a more thought out answer, but it's happened. But again, the common theme that I think through all this entire show's run is that's insane behavior. Me taking a photo with a man at Disney World because other people were, and I assumed because he was like 6'10", he was a basketball player, is not normal behavior. Bless my wife's heart for watching me do this and continuing the marriage and the honeymoon. I mean, it's not normal. But what if it was a basketball player that I didn't recognize instantly and I'd regret it? So I did it. And that's the game, and it's not normal. But that is this lovely hobby that we're all in.
Yeah, that's another way to say it. And then so who else gave us reports? Greg 2600, he did his John Elway with me. John Elway was great. You know, really nice guy. It was quick. I mean, it's a photo op, so it's over in 2 seconds. But and he also got Jaromir Jagr, who, I mean, one thing about Fanatics that's super cool. What other show is bringing in Jaromir Jagr? You know what I mean? Like these hockey names that are just like amazing. So that was super cool. I got a kick out of that.
Yeah, and then of course we had Sean and Finn, who met everybody, absolutely everybody. Their photo ops turned out insane. The autographs turned out insane. I'm not going to divulge the amount of autographs he got because he told me that like off air. I don't know if he wants to put all that out there, but he got a lot of autographs and they really turned out sick. And one of the more amusing things he got signed was over on the Major Pod group. Rockin' with Dan was selling on Whatnot for $5. Autographed photos of himself with John Cena that he autographed just to see who would buy them as like a gag, and people bought them. And Sean and Finn got the Rockin' with Dan signed Cena photo signed by Cena. And Cena's like, backstory, please. Who is this? And they explained that it was Rockin' with Dan. And so there is a dual signed Cena Rockin' with Dan 8x10 out there in the world, which honestly, I think the world's just a better place for that existing.
So that it's great. Good stuff. I will say though, there were not all reports about this show were positive. Vinny did complain about the lines. I think it's kind of interesting though, because I mean, at the end of the day, he got everything he paid for, so it wasn't like he was denied anything. But I do agree that there were certain autograph lines that were really long. Yeah, and that's what they are. I mean, at a show like this, I can't overstate enough. I don't think we said it last week, and I don't think it's a controversy. This is probably without even question the most expensive con lineup in the history of cons, right?
Yeah.
I don't even think it's close. It's the biggest con lineup ever, and so there are going to be lines. That's just how it goes. And I don't think there's any way to mitigate that. There will be people there who are there to get autographs. I think the photo op lines go really, really, really fast, which is fine. The autographs go less fast. And it's always, the autographs are always a trade-off, right? Because you got people want to spend time and they want to show their item and talk and get inscriptions and all that stuff. And that just takes more time. And so there are the people who want to just cattle call through and be done. But there are also people who want to use that time. And I know, Vinny kind of made a joke at me on Facebook about it because I always complain about people telling their life story. But that's for some of these people, they want even a little bit of interaction. And I do understand. As weird as this sounds, and as much as I hate people telling their life stories, it also bothers me when you go up to a table, the handler takes your item, the celebrity signs it before you even get up to them. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah. It like the whole point, like you remarked at the people getting all the stuff signed by Cody, like the Funko Pops, things that weren't unique in any way. And you were saying how on WWE Shop or Fanatics with the promo codes, you would pay less money getting it that way. And the idea of getting it in person, and I joke to you about it, but I mean, it's true, is that you get to sort of watch Cody sign this to you personally, and that's the whole point. But if this thing is signed while you're still making your way to the table, like, you're losing that moment. Like, what's the moment? Like, like, is it any different from watching something on a Facebook Live signing? Like, you're not really in front of him interacting while he's signing it.
So
like
apropos of nothing,
yeah,
apropos of nothing, I just got a notification on my phone that we just sold a metallic photo of Maria's vagina.
I was going to announce that too.
And I'm actually wondering if once again it'll get canceled. So it's been, for those people, no one would know this. No one would know this, but we've joked on this on this show before about having autographed pictures of Maria Kanellis naked from Playboy, but what people don't know is that for the past like 5 sales of these items, people buy it and it immediately cancel. It has to be the past 5, right? People just keep buying them and canceling them, and it's inexplicable as to why this happens, and it's become like a running joke. I think. What did you say? You said something really funny the other day, because somebody bought 2 and then immediately canceled them. Like, easy come, easy go, or something.
Yeah.
I was cracking up. But yeah, but
that's always depressing when you wake up in the morning to like a whole bunch of sales, and then you also see the request to cancel like right after it.
It's honestly, we went a long time without that happening, and it's happening a lot lately. Have you noticed that?
I mean, listen, like, part of me wants to think it might be some listener of the show with a sick, twisted sense of humor, just buying up the Maria's vagina photos and then canceling them, which, I mean, let's be honest, is actually kind of funny. But, you had your fun now, so please leave us alone.
You never talked about on the air, but you also had that guy who kept buying things and then purposely messing up his address in eBay so that you couldn't ship it, you'd have to cancel. And it happened like 10 times.
Yeah, and I finally blocked them, because it's like, I've messaged you repeatedly now, like, your address is wrong. And for people that aren't aware, which this might be the guy's angle, I really don't know. If you manually correct the address when printing the label to make it like actually deliver, you are technically violating the seller protection, because you're shipping to a different address than the buyer had on file. And I know that's a scam that some people play, that when you fix it that way, it could say delivered, it won't matter, because you say, well, it wasn't the right address or whatever. So I don't know if that was the game, or the guy is just, a little slow, or who knows. But I had to block him, because it's like, how many times it screws with my inventory. I got to go re-update. Like, I got to count the Maria's vagina photos now, because I think those 2 cancellations screwed up our count. So, the struggle.
It's ridiculous, and it keeps happening. That people buying stuff and can't. I don't know. People. This is the problem with retail. Ultimately, retail sucks. It really does. It's a shame we have such great items. Yes. People keep trying to buy them and then canceling the orders. Anyhow, I don't know. It's just funny. It popped up on my phone. We didn't talk about Zach's report from Fanatics. He got a bunch of starting lineups done. I agree with you. I love the starting lineups. I think it's such a cool project, but it's one of those things that it's like, I don't know Zach well enough to know whether he has like that compulsive need to get them all done, because there's a ton of them out there. There's a ton of starting lineups, and
I know it seems like he's big with like rookie. He's able to sort of compartmentalize like what he gets. But I gotta say, Zach Linder is a little rat, because he keeps posting these awesome starting lineups, and every time he posts one, I get closer and closer to starring them myself, because they're awesome.
I think it's a rabbit hole you just don't want to go down, though.
I think this week I'm gonna go on eBay and actually like just price what they go for mock.
I will say it's my understanding they're not that expensive. They really don't grow in value. And you can get a lot of them for relatively inexpensive, but then it just becomes, you know what it is. How do you determine which ones you need? Are you gonna get are you gonna get David Wright?
I hope not. I already printed my item. That would be good. You
gotta get a second autograph.
Damn you, Zach, for making me consider this.
No, it's a no.
Yourself.
So I think that's it for Fanatics. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, just what you touched on, which I was saying to you the other day. I really got to commend Fanatics for making this show. Like my wife, who hates cons, went to me the first night when I got home, and she's like, that one actually looks kind of cool. I think I'd like to go next year. And like you said, once she was actually there, she would see that all that coolness is an illusion. And it's just as awful and smelly and pathetic as any other convention that I love very much. But, it does create that feeling for people that wouldn't go to a Comic-Con that this is something worth doing. And that is very, very powerful. And also, I think this show is 2 shows in, this show being as smooth as it is. This is probably my most anticipated show coming up for 2026. This is going to leapfrog a lot of shows that I really like. I mean, wrestling, huge sports names. If they got Kevin Costner, like if any show was going to get like a Johnny Depp or any crazy A-list name that you would not really think is possible, it would be this show, I think. Like with Fanatics, SWAU, the different companies that come together that are monumentally like just large with big bankrolls. This show is awesome, and I'm ready for 2026. I'm gonna go right on record and say this is my current favorite show after this year. I'm all in on Fanatics.
Ultimately, I'm still as crazy as this sounds. I'm still gung ho on Steel City because of Amy Smart. That's my show, and then of course we're locked in for NYCC. So I'm hoping they come up with something else, but we'll see.
Amy Smart after you go to Pittsburgh.
It's gonna, as sucky as it sounds. It's probably they're probably gonna have Amy Smart and the Jurassic Park kids. Do you realize that?
Yeah, with Mars, and they'll do a full
Interstate 60 reunion.
Interstate 60 reunion. Yep.
Christopher Lloyd and Gary Oldman and Anne Margaret. Hey, if they want to bring in Anne Margaret, I need a photo with Anne Margaret.
So do I.
Anyway. So what we got coming up for us? So I think that there's a whole bunch of things all kind of concentrated this month because we have Eternal Con is this month, New York Tropic Con is this month. We'll be at both of those. We also have PWJ coming up that we're going to be at that show the 27th of July. I said this month, but it's actually July, not June. To me, June is over already. It's not. That's a mistake. When is David Wright? Because you have that coming up.
David Wright's in a couple of weeks. Let me see the exact date just so I know how much time I have to think about this starting lineup now. July 13th.
Oh, there's other things that day.
What?
There's a con that day.
Eternal Con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
big weekend.
Yeah, crazy. And then of course in August we have Steel City and WrestleCon. I don't know how the hell I'm locked in for so many things this summer. It's kind of nuts, actually.
It's bad.
It's a bad scene.
If you want to laugh at me, Tropicon, I am now eyeing a Super 7 Ultimate Squidward figure, which retails for $55, but it's awesome.
$55 US.
Yes. But then if I get that, then I gotta get Tom Kenny on one. Because how do I just have Squidward? So it's bad. I always feel really bad. I feel super bad going to someone retail after we worked with them privately. It just feels, I don't know.
Oh, it's awful.
It feels like soliciting a prostitute or something. It just is. It's not a good feeling. Yeah.
So I'm looking. You can get a David Wright starting lineup, mint on card for $25 shipped.
Interesting.
And you can get the there's a 3-pack with David Wright, Pedro Martinez, and Carlos Delgado for $20. But 30 shipped. But then you have to get Pedro.
Maybe I'll start with someone cheaper than David Wright, which I know makes no sense because if you're gonna start with someone cheaper, that means you're just gonna half-ass it. But I would just do
it. What are we doing here? One and done, baby. One and done. Not like David Wright's doing signings all day, every day. So anyway, if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store, Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Collectibles official marketplace on Facebook. And we do have some signings coming up. Have pre-orders gone up for Kazuchika Okada and Will Ospreay yet?
They are up, but I have to drop the prints. I'm going to try to drop them tomorrow, definitively. I've been so preoccupied with Fanatics, but now I'm back to the grind. I'll get those prints posted tomorrow.
All right, and again, our WrestleCon lineup is extensive. Somehow we have 9 guests coming to this show.
We do.
We have Emily J, Diamond Virago, Tiara James, and the Shooter Boys on Friday, and then we have all the ID fellas. We have Swipe Right, Brad Baylor, and Ricky Smokes, and then we have Shawn Legacy, and of course WWE Evolve champion Heartbreak Drake, Jackson Drake, on Saturday. You know, I don't want to repeat what needs to be said. If you don't get these guys that weekend, you're a fool. You should know, Swipe Right, Jackson Drake, they are not, they're not working the gimmick tables. They're just not.
And I'm also, as I've said on this show before, I'm well aware that the time we have to work with these guys in a public capacity it's coming to an end. So, I mean, catch them with us while you can.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson's spending a lot of time in Orlando. Let's just say that. Which is actually, it's hard because we obviously on one level we want these guys to have tremendous success. That's would be amazing, obviously. But we had a blast working with them so far, and we know. I think we both realize that after WrestleCon, it's going to be very, 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 very tough to get them to come out again. And then I would imagine by early next year, it's going to be almost impossible.
Yeah, as much as I'd like to go on an Eric Sims Iron Sheik level run with these guys, I think it's not happening. They will be WWE commodities officially in a few short months. And anything we're able to do will be, covert and absolutely not in a public capacity where, we're allowing people to meet them. So this is it. Take advantage.
It's one of those things that you see the writing on the wall. They're on TV now on NXT. They're on Evolve every week. They're on NXT every week. They're if you watch the videos at the Performance Center, you can see them in the background, right, training with the NXT. Like, this is happening. It's happening.
I don't even think I'd say it's happening. It's already happened. Like,
right. But I'm saying, it's happening in the sense that our ability to book them is going to end soon. It's going to end soon. That's just reality. I'm just hoping they make the dates that we have them booked for. I think they will because they're pretty clear about that. But the point is that after WrestleCon, that's it. That's it. So do it. Come on in. We want to see everyone. I want to see everyone there. This is your chance to get someone for $25 or whatever. And knowing that in the future, in the very near future, that price triples.
And this is your chance to pay $25 and have one of the Vanity Project boys steal your girlfriend. So
right, if you have one. So anyway, that whole weekend's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be wild. I'm excited. But before that, we do have signings happening at PWJ in New Jersey, Ridgefield Park, July 27th at the Mecca. We're going to be there with a table. These are not public signings; they're private. But if you're interested in items, we're going to get stuff done by Zeta Steele, Marcus Mathers, Jackson Drake, and Smiley Kylie Ray of WWE ID, and then also Emily J, who's also getting a ton of press these days. She's inevitable too. I mean, how much she's picking up steam publicly as well. And
Absolutely.
then we also have pre-orders up from Mike Tyson. Those are due in November, so get your orders in for Iron Mike as well.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of stuff. It's funny because a couple weeks ago, I guess a month or two, we didn't really have anything, and all of a sudden everything just kind of came at once. Remember, actually, I think we recorded a show where we have no signings right now. And now we have 1, 2, 15 things going on at once. It's this crazy amount of stuff. So
listen, it's the beauty of growth. It's the beauty of things that we, swings we take, connecting, and it's fun.
It's super fun, and I honestly cannot wait to see what what successes these guys have in their immediate. You could just it's hard to I know it's like almost like a broken record, but it's hard to articulate what we know is inevitably happening very soon. I personally have never experienced that where you're seeing someone's like imminent breakthrough, and I'm not sure they even realize it yet. You know, I think Jackson's starting to realize it because Jackson's confidence in his TV appearances and his interviews is going up dramatically. Have you noticed that?
That promo I shared from the NXT page on our Instagram story. Jackson honestly pops more in that promo, I think, than Paige and Ricky. Like, Ricky Starks, who's Ricky Saints now, I suppose. Like, he wasn't even he was a guy who I would have said, 6 months ago or a year ago, that his in-ring work was stronger than his mic work. And his mic work is damn good. Like, you could see the confidence has grown, like, in the last 2 months considerably.
Yep.
So, he's absolutely hitting his stride.
Yeah, you could see he's starting to get it. He's a very smart guy. He's like getting it on multiple levels. And I know why they put the belt on him. You could see why they put the belt on him. He's getting it. He's growing so fast. He's growing so fast. And they're gonna want to use him. I think as a long-term project. So there's no question. So I know we keep gushing about these guys, but it's very hard not to when you see, even in the span of, we started, with Jackson and Brad, we started following them, a year ago?
I think it was more than that.
A year and a half ago?
We tried to bring them in for the Sandman big event.
I was in 2022, yeah. So, yeah. God, time is flying. So now 3 years, right.
Brad was acting like I was crazy at that point trying to book him. I don't think anyone was trying to book him for conventions back then.
That's right. He made some kind of comment like, I don't do those yet or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Jackson just never read the message. But he's like a kid in the Carolinas or whatever. But in any case, and now, once we saw them get ID'd, that first of all, that was so validating, right? On some level for both of us, for totally different people. And then to see and to actually see them since November, right, was when this started, to now see them progress so freaking much that it's crazy. So I'm so excited. I don't want to wish my whole summer over. I want to enjoy all of July before we get into August. Don't get me wrong, but I'm so excited for WrestleCon, and what will probably be, one of. It's not going to be but one of the last times we'll have these guys. So. Yeah,
be there or be square.
Yeah, at this point, if you don't get them at WrestleCon, then you're not a true you're not in the game like we are.
You're not going to impress people on Photo Op Friday in the future. That's for sure.
Exactly, you're going to be left out completely. So I think that's it. I guess technically this episode is going to drop late because now by the time I get it edited, it's going to be after midnight. It'll be Tuesday. This is officially our first late drop.
I'm not happy about this, but listen, if we could talk 5 more minutes about Jackson Drake, this would be the first episode that we spent 2 days recording, technically. Yeah, but
I think it's a no from me because I want to.
I think we've done enough gushing, so All
right, cool. So what's incredible is, by the way, next week is our 52nd episode, right? So that is this is our anniversary show.
Look at that.
So we're going to have to figure out exactly what we want to talk about for something special.
I got to get Yorpal the Clown to come on next week for some sort of a segment.
Something like that. We already maybe that would
have been a good thing. How about Mr. Pop and Twist? We'll bring him on and do some balloon animals and stuff. Audio balloon animals. You just hear the squeaking of the balloons.
Like the rubbing of that.
Yeah. I think that would be a hit.
But it's one of those things that it's kind of remarkable that it's been a year. But we'll get to all that. We'll talk about that next time. So for markedout.com, Marked Out Collectibles, Marked Out Radio, I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And we will see you next week for our 1 year anniversary.